flag me so that way I'll stop and we can answer those questions and show things again. I think that's all the basics I need to show you. I got sticky notes. Thank you, though. I think that's all the basics. So we are ready to get started. Probably the biggest thing we're going to tackle today is the grading setup. So that will come, we're going to do a bunch of just the navigation stuff, and then we're going to take the questions break, and then we'll get into the grading. So let's go ahead and get started. So Schoology obviously is our new Gaston County LMS for K-5 schools. So we are going to today just show us how to navigate, how to communicate with families, how to use our gradebook, and then how to get started with your students. So Schoology is a learning management system. It's very similar to Canvas if you've used Canvas before. So Schoology is used through PowerSchool. It syncs through PowerSchool. So that's kind of been the login issues lately, is that we have to make sure you have everything in PowerSchool, and then at midnight every night it syncs with Schoology. So if your data manager makes a change today in PowerSchool, it will not take effect until tomorrow in PowerSchool and in Schoology. So if you have anything that needs to be fixed, like, you know, before school starts, I would go ahead and check those things and make sure you're able to get in, you have everything you need. I know that data managers are still rostering right now, so your rosters may come and go, they might change. Don't worry about those things, just make sure you can get in, make sure it has the right school. Those are the two big things. So Schoology is the way that we pronounce it. Kyle likes to give a PSA that it has one L and not two. So it's not like zoology, but it's Schoology. Just so you know how to say it, you know, those things. So this helps us focus on student achievement and also focus on our connections with families, especially during this time of some blended learning, that we want to make sure that our students and families have everything they need while they're at home. This just kind of shows what everything provides. Google is not going away. All of our evergreen tools that you guys know and love, they're not going anywhere. It's just basically a new platform that we're using just to communicate these things out to students. So we still have access to all the things we always have had. We're just putting them, instead of in Google Classroom, we're just going to put them in Schoology instead. So you can create groups. You can assign assignments to specific children. You can send that parent connect. You just got a lot of options with Schoology. The Google integration is like the coolest thing ever. When students log in at gaston.schoology.com, it automatically does single sign-on with Google, and they're in. No extra buttons to click. It's just very simple, very easy. And then for the teachers, we'll talk about in 102, we'll talk about the connection with the Google Drive integration. So that way, how you pull your resources in, how you can still, of course, make a copy for kids, all of those things we'll touch on in 102. So we're going to start with navigating and communicating. So I'm going to switch over to my Schoology account for you guys to see. Mine might look a little bit different because I'm a system admin, but it has all the same buttons. I just have some extra ones. So I'm going to switch on over, and we're going to start with looking at the layout of when you log in. So the first one we're going to look at is recent activity. And the way you toggle back and forth is right up here at the top. So when you log in, this will be the first thing you see. What this is kind of like a news feed. It's going to pull all of the most recent things from any of the courses you are in and put them all in one place. So this is great for your students because they're going to have a different course for math. They're going to have a different course for ELA. They're going to have a different one for science, a different one for social studies, different one for art, different one for music. So that way you're going to have, this is probably the best view that's most student friendly because everything is in one place. So as you can see, we're able to like and comment things. This is where teacher announcements are going to go. Everything they're going to need right when they log in to start their day, this is where it's going to be. Over on the right-hand side, you see what I have that might be overdue up at the top, as well as upcoming assignments and calendars. So you can see we've got calendar things put in here. It had Labor Day on there yesterday. We've added some more things. I'm in a lot of sandbox courses for people. So you can see that I've kind of just, I like how it's organized, that it's very student friendly, easily accessible. So that's one option. Your other option for when you log in is your course dashboard. And this one pulls just all of your courses. So if you are like a primary teacher, or you're just one that likes to have things like color coded and organized, for each of your courses, for your reading, for your math, for your social studies, I would pick a different color because you can change these pictures. And by doing that, especially for the little ones, you can just say, okay, go click on the red math one, and then they'll know, go click on the red one. That's probably the easiest way since it's a lot of words. So that would be my suggestion as being a kindergarten teacher. Pick the colors and stick with them, and even all your stuff inside. Consistency is really going to be key to make this successful. So you still see over on the right-hand side, I've still got overdue and upcoming. And then this is just all the courses I'm enrolled in. This little symbol right here means that they're an admin. So these, I'm just a student in down here. Another thing is you guys can be both teachers and students within Schoology. We suggest in your sandbox course, go ahead and add your teammates as students. So that way you guys can interact as students and teachers and kind of see how both ends work. And the way you do that is there's a code. Let me pull up my sandbox. It's just like Classroom that there's a code over here on the left-hand side. So they're going to take that code and they'll copy and paste it. And they're going to put it, if I go to courses, my courses, it gives you the option to join a course. So you would take that code and just paste it in that box. And that's how you join. Same with groups. We'll talk about groups in 102 as well. Good so far? Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the student view, which that kind of touches back on where we were. If you ever need to get back to that main screen I was just on when I first logged in, if you just hit Gaston County Schools at the top, it takes you back to like your home page, basically. So students have both of these views as well, and it's gonna look just like yours. So they're still gonna have their overdue assignments. They're still gonna have what's upcoming. They're still gonna see all the newsfeed kind of things over here. So students view is gonna look pretty much just like your view. That way it's very similar. So if you need to describe what something looks like, they'll be right there with you. So the three components of Schoology that are the big ones, that were the big selling points for when we chose Schoology is the resources, the courses, and the groups. So resources is your digital filing cabinet. You can pull in from Google Drive and you can put all of them into that filing cabinet. And then from there, you can select to add it to a course. So that's kind of a place where you can just kind of house everything, have everything organized right where you need it. So that way it's easy for you to grab, easy to send out to students. Courses is what's going to get pulled in through PowerSchool. We're going to use those PowerSchool courses for grading purposes because it needs to sync back with PowerSchool. So we're going to use those courses that are already put in there because of the grades. So you're not going to be creating your own ELA block group. You're not going to be making my own class. You're going to be using the courses that are already in there. Courses gives you the ability to obviously give grades and assign assignments and activities to students. The difference between courses and groups is that groups does not give you the option for any kind of start and end dates or any grades. Everything in there is discussions and announcements. So you can post a question of, how's everyone getting home tomorrow? And then they can respond that way. But there's no way to privately submit anything. And we do suggest for PLC purposes, it'd be great if you had your team lead make a group and then have that person add all of the teachers from your grade level into your PLC group. And that way you guys can share your agendas, you can share all of your resources, you can share lesson ideas, and it's just a place for you guys to post things. So if you said, hey, I'm doing this with my class next week, if you want to use it, here it is. That's a great place for you to do that without having to send a bunch of emails and share things in Drive. So this just kind of makes one flow of communication. So the next thing we're going to do is look at profiles. And your profile is kind of like, this is the social media twist that kind of gets in there. So your profile is basically just your information. This is public for people to see. And so it's just going to have things about you, where you teach, those kind of things, as well as contact information. So I've already got a picture put in here. If you have not done that yet, if you just hover over whatever picture is there, you can hit edit picture and upload your own picture. Also, you can go into edit over here in the top right-hand corner. And you can fill in these things so it will show up on your profile. So that way, if anyone's looking to see like who you are, they're going to know who you are. The other thing about Schoology is that there's outside groups outside of Gaston County Schools. So not only do you have your groups within Gaston County Schools, but there's like public groups, kindergarten teachers, STEM learning. So there's groups that are already out there that other people have started, and it's open to anybody that's in Schoology, not just our Gaston County Schools people. So you've got those groups. So that's kind of where this profile comes into place, is that they might, just like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you've got your own profile so people can kind of see who you are and what you're about. So you've got that there. You can add activities and interests, contact information, and then you just got to hit Save Changes at the bottom. So I'm going to go into a course now. I'm going to go in my sandbox, and I'm going to show you the course options. And these course options are recommendations that just kind of make things go a little bit easier, kind of avoid some things right off the bat. So we're in my course. This is my sandbox. So this is kind of where I just come and experiment and play with things. I'm going to go to course options on the left-hand side. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to view course as, and that's that very first option once I click that drop down. And this allows for me to see my course as a student. So I can go in here and see my course as Christy Turner, my student. So this is what hers would look like. This comes in handy if you've got a parent or a student that says, you said you posted this, but I can't find it. Can you help me look for it? You can come and search this way. Sometimes you might assign certain activities to certain students. And so you might have just forgotten to check their name. So this is a quick way for you to check that to make sure you did what you needed to do. So I can also, from this page, type in a different person if I wanted to switch. And then once you're done looking and doing what you need to do, you just have to hit back to course.
They'll only see that there's kids in the course.
Do what?
They'll only see it if there's kids in the course.
Yes, you will only see that option if there are students in your course already. So again, if you add other staff members to your sandbox, they will be able to see it. And once you get your real rosters and your real courses, of course, it'll be there as well. So the other thing I'm going to show you is let's go to moderate next. So just like you would in Seesaw or Flipgrid, we want for you to moderate your posts from students before you post them for everyone to see. You want those teacher eyes to be on it before you have any student eyes to be on it. So just as you would in Flipgrid or Seesaw, you would have all of your pending posts here, and that way you can approve them to post publicly to your course, or you can delete them and not let them post. So I have mine enabled right now. So you just have to click over here to enable and disable. So you're going to want to turn that on, again, just so you've got some teacher eyes on it before you have student eyes on it. So that is there. And I'm going to go back and show you one more thing over here. So I'm going to go in now and show you. Now I got to remember. Oh, send messages. So you can send messages to your whole course. I'm sure a lot of you discovered from March until June that it's difficult to communicate with students when they don't have email addresses. So Schoology provides an option for us to send messages to students. You can send it to your whole class, all of your students, or you can, I'll show you the way to message individual students as well. So you can do your drop down and do it just to admins or co-teachers, or you can do it to members or everybody. So you just type in your message. You can also add files, links, resources, and even an audio video recording, and then just have to hit send. The other way you can message is if you go up to the envelope in the top right-hand corner, I can send a new message this way as well. This is turned off for student to student, so they can't contact each other. It's only open for teachers and students to communicate back and forth that way. So I can find somebody that I want to send a message to. And we do suggest to go for last name because for some reason first and last doesn't work as well. So if I just do just last name, it'll pop up. So I can send Aiden a message. I can say, again, same options. I've got links, resources, audio, video, recording, and files. I can type in the box, do whatever I need to do, and hit send, and then Aiden will get my message.
All right, two questions came up during that. If you have any more, please let us know. But the first one was from that Trine. She said, should I set up a PLC as the content teacher at Trine, or should I let the teachers do it for their grade level? It really doesn't matter one way or another. It'd be super awesome. I know that CTs at those schools that have them work really well with their PLCs, so that would make a lot of sense. I don't want you to think that you have to go and set up another group for your teammates or grade level or school or whatever it might be in order to share resources. That is probably going to be the best way in the end, but it's another kind of thing to kind of figure out. So there is another way to share resources that we'll show you in 1 and 2. The other question was, how do I get to my sandbox course? That's part of the self-paced online course. So you would have just created that yourself. It's a really short process, like 3 or 4 fields to create the course. and it's just there so you can play with it and it won't impact any kids or anything. And then Catherine says, is there a way to order the courses on the screen for easier accessibility? As a first grade teacher, you won't use Learning Lab and Recess, so it'd be nice to put that at the bottom. So you can reorder them for yourself. If you want to reorder it for your littles, they would have to do it themselves, unfortunately. We did ask about getting rid of those classes that kind of appeared, last year or year before, and you can't. They're coming in from Power School, and they're coming right there on the side. It says reorder underneath join. Yeah.
I was gonna see if I can hide it, but
no, yeah, you can't hide them. We did ask Schoology about that, and anything that comes in from Power School is going to appear. So we can't get rid of them. They said that it was a process that they wanted to get down the road, because they know that schools have to put courses in there like that to justify the amount of hours spent at school. I believe that's why Recess was added, just to show that how many hours you teach each person. It has to justify or sort of provide the student, if they were there X number of hours, had X many courses. Ms. Lavender also asked, can I combine students who are enrolled in different math and ELA courses? So you want to post twice? That's something we're talking with Power School folks about, because that's something that you can't do. We did clarify that yesterday with Schoology as well. If they're different courses, you can't combine them. But it is something that may be able to be done by Power School. So definitely looking out for the EC people, don't worry. It's been a big worry because I know you guys have tons of courses.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and keep going with some communication. So I'm going to stay in this course, but I'm going to show you what updates are. So I'm going to go to updates. I'm also going to remove this for now because I'm going to put it back. So updates is kind of like your news feed. This is the stream of information that you can send out to your students. So you can see I've already put 2 things in here. So I might say, Family Fun Night. So I could, instead of just typing the text, if you wanted to make something cutesy and pretty in slides or in Canva and then pull it in as a file, as an image, you could do that as well. That's what I did down here. So that way, if you want to make something that looks better than just typing, especially if you have little ones, then you're more than welcome to do that. This has a lot of options down here. You could even do a video and tell them what's happening. So it's got some accessibility features in here. So Kyle will talk more about the formatting stuff up here in the 102 section, but this is just showing you, so I can post this. And let's say that I wanted to post this for middle of September to middle of October to make sure that these families know that the Family Fun Night is October 12th, and I want them to come. I want them to come and spend time with us and that kind of thing. So I can go over to next to my post button. There's this little speech bubble. And if I click that bell, it's going to pin that post to the top of my Schoology course. So I just selected it. So I'm going to hit post. And you can see that now it's up here. And it's going to stay up there. It's not going to go anywhere until I choose to remove it. That way you've got that constant reminder for families if you've got something you really need to remember. Field trip money is due. We have a field trip this day, early release, Christmas break. It kind of reminds me of when they have inclement weather, and the Gaston County Schools page puts that banner up at the very top, and that's the first thing you see. So that's kind of what this is as well. And if you did a lot of bright colors, you can do the images up here as well. And this is how people are making like a cover photo, basically, for their Schoology course as well. So that is there as a way just to reinforce and make sure that everybody remembers you have Family Fun Night on October 12th, which is not actually a real date, by the way. The other thing, no, I don't remember what my other thing was. I looked while he was talking. Oh, notifications. So I'm going to go into my notifications. I am a course admin for a lot of courses, and I have not touched my notifications very much. So there's 50 here, and I get emails for pretty much every single one at this point. So to change those, because I don't need all of those emails, I'm going to go into my settings and go over to notifications. Also, while I'm here, if you are like me and you go by a different name than what your name is within Power School and within your email, you can change it here and you can replace it. So that way, like, because I go by Abby instead of Abigail, I wanted to change it on my Schoology account, so you have that option as well. So I'm going to go into notifications, and you can see that it gives you a list of pretty much every notification it could ever send you. If all of these were on, you would be getting 300 Schoology emails every single day. So we don't want to have all of those on. You probably don't want to have all of those on either. Really, the ones you're going to want to look at the most right now is the academic ones. So if you want to get an email every time a student submits a test or a quiz, you're going to want to turn that on. I didn't want that because I'm going to go look at them all at one time. Same with assignments. I don't need an email every time a kid turns in an assignment. I want to be able to go look at it all at once when I'm ready to grade them. So I turn mine on custom, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can choose for certain courses. So maybe I want to keep the assignment submission on for these 3 courses, but I don't want it for all of these Schoology Getting Started courses. So you have that ability to customize things. If you want it only for certain courses, you can go in there and just check those boxes. So things, course updates, like you're going to be the one posting those updates, so you probably don't want to get an email telling you that you gave yourself a course update. So certain ones you probably just want to go ahead and turn off. It's completely up to preference. It's what you like. I know I'm one that doesn't like to get a whole bunch of emails because it stresses me out, so I turned a lot of them off. Also, you have the option to connect it to your text messages, so it will send you a text when any of these things happen. I have not set that up because I'm a strong proponent of separating work and school and life. So I do not have that set up, but if that is something you want, it's over here on the right-hand side. Okay, updates, notifications, got that. All right, we're ready to jump into grading, but I'm going to pause for questions first.
Question about updates is, question about updates is if I want to, is that like an announcement in a Google Classroom? Yes. Is it where I would ever add an assignment? No. Can I post updates to only one class? Yes. So one thing that we've had people suggest is that you know that you're gonna, and I'm talking just the classroom teachers really, I guess, but you know the classroom teachers are gonna have ELA, math, science, social studies, but you're gonna have those oddballs that we've already talked about, right? Recess, learning lab, those weird ones that have to be in there. You also have homeroom, which is where you do attendance. You could elect to make your homeroom course where you kind of train your students and parents to kind of go for information. So you could put the informational kind of announcements there, and you can, you could choose to put that same announcement in a bunch of courses so that they're just really communicated with, but you can put them all in that one homeroom course and sort of, quote, train your parents to look at that course for that information. That's it.
Okay. And we're going to touch more on the Family Corner, communicating with families, here in just a minute after we talk about grading. So we'll touch on that a little bit more here in a minute. So what I'm going to show you with the grading, part of this needs to be set up for every single course that's pulled in. So this goes for K2 and 3-5 teachers, as well as itinerants, everybody who has a course. They're going to need to do this step. So I'm going to show you that first. So I'm going to go over in my course. And again, we're just going to play with the sandbox, and I suggest you do the same. I don't want for you to go in and mess up your true courses if you have them yet. We want for you to use your sandbox for this for now. And then we'll later be able to show you how to do it with your real ones, and we can always help you with that if you need it. So I'm going to delete these categories from our last training. So those of you that are familiar with grading in PowerSchool, you know that you have to have categories. It's going to be the same thing for Schoology. For my 3-5 teachers, you know that for ELA, you've got to have that writing word work as well as reading, and everything else is just assignments. So for everybody that is not, except for that ELA course in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, this is a lot, you're going to go in and make a category that just says assignments. That's all we want it to say. We're going to keep things very simple. You're going to keep it at total points, and we're not dropping any of the lowest, and then the weight. So we obviously, it's out of 100%. So for just assignments, since that's the only one we're doing, we're going to make that one 100%. So I have that ready, set up. And then the other thing, this is going to get pulled in from PowerSchool, but you're going to want to double check this in your true course to make sure that it says this. You're going to need it to say 2020, 2021, and it's going to show the dates from the first day of school all the way to the last day of school. Okay. So from there, the other thing we're going to do is we are going to scroll down. If you are a K2 teacher and you want to put grades into Schoology, you're going to come here and do this drop down and do that K2 rubric. So you're going to, this is going to give you the option for met, not met, and progressing, just as you do on your report cards. And we talked about this makes a great portfolio for students. So that way, if you have parents that say, you know, why didn't they get a met on this standard? Why did they only get a progressing? Then you've got artifacts you can show that show, you know, they got this part, but they didn't get this part. So I would suggest, I would probably use the grading within Schoology for my K2 teachers, at least second grade going into third, because you know that's a huge transition, just to get them used to it. But also you've got that data. So we're not going to touch any of this stuff in these categories, but we're going to go down here and we need to make sure that these two boxes are checked down here. And that is because you don't want for teachers, sorry, you don't want for students and parents to come see grades, final grades within Schoology. We want for you guys to have your teacher, have your parents go into PowerSchool to go see the final grades. And we don't want that because sometimes you might not sync your grades every time you put them into Schoology. And so there's a discrepancy between your grades in PowerSchool and a discrepancy between your grades in Schoology. So you don't want for a parent to be able to go in one place and see they have an 85 and go in the other place and see they have a 97. So you just want to avoid that and kind of just meet it head on. So you want to go ahead and just hide both of those. So that way they can only go check grades within PowerSchool.
All right, question.
Mute.
Yeah, sorry. All right, question is this being recorded? Yeah, yes, it's being recorded, but if you're talking about grading, there is a handout that's already been made and it's linked in the presentation that we will share with you. On that handout, it has how to set up your grades, and it is divided among what kind of teacher you are. So you'll know exactly what you need to do to set up your gradebook. Your gradebook has to be set up in Schoology for everybody. Okay, so why is that? Because even if you have courses as a art teacher, if you want to assign something, especially when you're doing remote learning, it's going to ask you if you want it graded or not. So you need a setup there as a default, just so you can leave it alone, really. So this is a one-time setup for each of your courses. Those directions are in there. They're written directions and videos, so don't worry about that. And they're short videos so that you can watch the steps that you need. But what Abby is showing you is the gradebook setup that has to happen for everybody. The only people that will be different than the one you just now set up will be grades 3 through 5 teachers, and only, like she said, the ELA class with those weights. That'll be the only one that looks different than anybody else's. Yeah, sure. So once this is set up, your grades can sync to PowerSchool if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher. Okay. In fact, if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher, and this is a big deal, if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher, all of your grades will be entered in Schoology, not PowerSchool. So if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher, you won't have to enter assignments in PowerSchool at all anymore. Okay. I know that sounds like extra work. It's actually not, because you're not touching PowerSchool for grades as long as it's set up really well. Okay. So I'm presenting my screen now, and I'm going to show you how to set that up if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher. That means you don't have to be concerned if you are not. Okay. So once you've set up your gradebook in Schoology, you also need to have set up your gradebook in PowerSchool if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher, just like you always have. Okay. Once you set it up in PowerSchool and then set it up in Schoology, the two can talk to each other. And that's going to take one more step. Again, this is only grades 3 through 5 teachers. And so pardon me for the rest of you guys. This won't take but a moment. So I'm in my math section. I'm going to click down here on the bottom left to PowerSchool. If you're not a 3 through 5 teacher, this won't really do anything.
The first time you click here, it's going to ask you to authenticate. So it's just saying, hey, I'm Schoology and I'm Kyle. Can I communicate with Kyle in PowerSchool? It's a one-time, yes, it's fine kind of button, okay? So I can't show you that again because I've already clicked the button. You also will go to configuration, and you're going to like this screen. It's not too many buttons. You're going to click this first checkbox. And down at the bottom, let me explain kind of what you see here. One side is Schoology categories that Abby just showed you how to type in. One side's PowerSchool categories that you would have had to set up in PowerSchool. We know now the district pushes these 3 categories out to elementary people in grades 3 through 5, so they'll be there, but you need to set up the prep as we've always done. So what you'll do is you'll say, okay, if I give something the category of assignments in Schoology, then when it syncs with PowerSchool, I want it to go to that same category in PowerSchool. Since I'm in a math class, that's all I'm going to do, right? Grades 3 through 5 folks know that there's only that one assignment type. If I were in a reading class, then I would have to come down here and I would choose reading and writing and word study, okay? So if I'm in a math class, I'm going to choose assignments and I'm just going to leave these blank because obviously I don't have any reading grades to sync for a math class. But if I'm in a reading class, I'm going to leave this one blank because all of my assignments in ELA should be reading or writing and word study. When I'm done there, I'm just going to hit save changes and my grade book will be set up. You have to do that for each graded course in 3 through 5. So just those 4 courses, math, ELA, science, and social studies. From that point on, when you enter grades in your grade book, you occasionally will need to sync those grades to PowerSchool. In other words, it'll save in Schoology and students and parents and yourself can see those grades in Schoology, but to make them go to PowerSchool, you just have to hit a sync button. There's 3 places to do that, and I'm going to show you this one. I'm going to show you the one I actually prefer, but I'll show you this one. So this one's going to list all the assignments in my grade book because now I'm in kind of like a PowerSchool window, and I can hit sync changes in the top right. Okay, if I have assignments in there, it's only going to sync changes, right? So new assignments I've added, or that one kid that I put in their grade for because it was late or something. I can also, once my grade book is set up, I can go to gradebook on the left over here. Grades K through, let me go into my other course. Because this is a real course. All right, so if I go to my gradebook, grades K2 teachers, art teachers, music teachers, everybody else, you see, this is what your gradebook looks like. It's really friendly. You see, it looks like a paper gradebook. You're just going to type in the score that you want to give the people. If you're a K2 teacher, you're going to put 3, 2, or 1 because it's going to be PM or N. And again, that's optional for K2 people. Please, K2 people, don't feel like you have to do grades in Schoology. We just feel like it's a good opportunity to provide some feedback. You'll also note that there's a little space here to do little comments and stuff. Okay, so it's really, really super friendly. But anyway, so to sync those grades to Schoology, to PowerSchool, if you're a grade 3 through 5 teacher, there's like a little refresh icon up here that says sync grades. And when I hit that, it's going to sync my grades to PowerSchool. Okay. In your courses, because Abby told you to check those boxes earlier, those 2 boxes, it would hide these 2 columns from parents. So they won't see an overall grade. And for K2 people, that's a brilliant idea, right? Because how in the world are you going to average P, M, and N, right? So you want to hide that stuff. I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions about gradebook setup. Daryl says, do we have to set up categories and weights in PowerSchool? And you do. So that's the bad news, Daryl, but once it's set up, you don't have to return to PowerSchool for anything other than to put in your attendance and to print off progress reports. If you did make any mistakes in the setup of either the gradebook or in something you just did with one of the assignments, you're going to get errors from sync. And we're going to show you, Abby's about to show you some kind of typical stuff you'll see. And it's stuff that if you've done grades in PowerSchool, you've made the mistake in PowerSchool before, it's the same mistake. So you're going to see some familiar issues and you'll remember them when you see them, if you've been doing grades. I think that's it for me.
Okay. So I'm going to show you some kind of troubleshooting things. But just remember, for those of you that are 3-5 teachers, if students complete an assignment within the grading period and you're putting it in Schoology, make sure that you put the date of that assignment of when they completed it versus when you graded it. Because if, let's say it's Thursday and you're within the grading period, but you don't grade it until Monday or Tuesday the next week, If you put that Monday or Tuesday as the date, then it's going to pull it into that next 9 weeks versus the one they actually did it in. So you guys already know that, but that's just a reminder. Make sure that you've got the right dates on there. If you don't put a date on an assignment at all, then it will default until May 26th, 2021. So it will go to the very end if you don't put a date in there. So make sure you put a date on every assignment you put in Schoology. And the other thing is, because we're not using PowerSchool for grading at all, you need to make sure that even if you're giving a paper assignment to students, it still goes in Schoology. And because, again, we're not putting any grades in PowerSchool, so you don't want to have grades in PowerSchool and then have grades in Schoology, because the sync's not going to work out and it's going to mess up your weights. It's going to just make a mess. So keep them all in Schoology and just trust that it will sync over. All right, I'm going to show you troubleshooting. So we're going to go in and look at a few just tips and tricks. So dates is the number one thing. That's usually the number one issue that trips it up. So as long as you've got your date set up correctly and your period is correct, then you should be good in that sense. So let me share this screen. We're flying today. It's only 9:06. We're getting good at this. We've only done it 4 times in one day. All right, so back here, so again, make sure that date is correct. That was the number one thing. So I'm going to go in now and show you how to bulk edit all of your assignments in one course. And this is a quick way for you to be able to tell, like, if something's off, if something's not syncing correctly. It's going to give you a list of all of your assignments, and so you can see, like, if everything has a date except one, it's going to be very obvious. If everything's in a category except one, it's going to be very obvious. So it's just a quick way that you can kind of do some comparison, process elimination of what the issue could be of why it's not syncing. So I'm going to go into my gradebook, and this is where you're just going to type in your grades. As we were saying, if you're doing paper assignments, this is just your gradebook. I am a strong proponent of still keeping a paper gradebook because I'm just old school like that, and I've had my PowerSchool wipe out too many times. So I always kept a paper gradebook still. That is completely personal preference of whether you do that or not. That's just me being extra careful. So I need to go in a different course because this one does not have grades. Go ahead.
Question is, can we click sync every single time we put in grades, or do we need to wait?
So depending on how you grade things, I think it's kind of up to personal preference. I like to kind of grade and put everything in the grade book all at one time. I do it in one sitting. My poor husband sits there and reads off the grades and the names for me, and I type them in as he goes. But I would almost like set one day a week, and that's like your syncing day. I know if some principals might expect for you to have all of your grades in by every Friday, then you would sync probably Wednesday or Thursday. Another thing is, make sure you're not trying to sync at like noon, and don't try and sync at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Schoology has mentioned that the syncing is going to take a lot longer because everybody's going to be trying to sync their grades before they go home for the day. Same at lunch, because all your students are at lunch. This is a good time for you to work on your grades, but it's going to back up. It's going to take forever for it to get through. Another thing is, you don't want to like wait 3 weeks and sync for 2 reasons. One, you want for parents and students to see those assignments and those grades within PowerSchool. And the second reason is because if you try and sync 12 assignments, it's going to take hours, like, of it just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, because it's trying to imagine like Schoology and PowerSchool, and it's trying to literally send the data from one to the other. So if you have a whole bunch of courses and a whole bunch of activities you're trying to sync, it's going to just be forever long. So I would suggest probably once a week, maybe twice a week. All right, I'm going to go back into the gradebook. I'm in one of the Getting Started with Schoology courses now. So I've got grades, I've got assignments. So when I go in here, you can, thinking. So there will be assignments in here, and you'll be able to see what's in here and what's this kind of looks like. So if I need to change a grade, I can just come in here and I can change that grade. If I wanted to add a comment, there's a speech bubble, and I can add a comment. So I could type whatever I want to type, hit enter, and it would go in there like that. So that is in there. That's an easy way to just manually change grades. If you had those paper grades, you would just come in that next column. The title would already be at the top, and you would just need to type in those grades. So that is there. So that bulk edit I was talking about, if you're in your grade book where I am, and I'm going to go over in the top right-hand corner, and there's these 3 dots. And if I go to bulk edit, You can see all the assignments I have assigned to this course. So you can see these should not be blank because we just said that there should be due dates for everything. So that is there. You can kind of see the holes. So check my list. All right, I think let's pause for questions about grading. And then we're going to move into family communications and getting started with students. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our family folder. So we need to go in, and what we were saying earlier about the homeroom, you want to go ahead and have that homeroom class kind of as your home base for your families. So that's a great place for you to put all of your announcements, all of your, anything you want for parents to have access to. I know as a kindergarten teacher, things would magically get lost between school and home. And so this is a way you can just almost even just take a picture of it and just put it in that folder. And so that way, if they say, I didn't get that purple piece of paper, you can say, oh, well, it's in our Schoology course. Just go look at it and it's right there for you. And if you need a copy, you're happy to send one home. So that way too, I would always lose my master copies of everything. If it was a parent letter, I just couldn't keep up with it. So if someone needed another copy, this is a quick place for me to know right where it is. I can go grab it and do what I need to do with it. So I'm going to go into courses and I'm going to go back to my sandbox. And I'm going to go into the family corner. So mine's empty. I'm going to show you this slide because this one will have it. Teresa had this idea, and she's in a lot of, like, there's a Facebook group that's Schoology, and so she's got that there. So you can see that the family corner has things like your schedule, grading guidelines, all of those kind of things are in there. So this is just a place, again, for you to just kind of drop all those resources for families, and that way they're all in one place. You might put lunch information, any field trip forms, parent letters, anything that those families might need. I would use that homeroom course as kind of your home base and use those folders that you can create to kind of just keep everything in one place. Again, consistency is going to be key with this. Make sure that you are always using the same one. So don't like post it in your math course one time and then the next time put it somewhere else. So make sure you're always putting it in the same place, and that way families will kind of start learning those procedures and your students will too. So the last thing I'm going to show you is we have a few just resources to get started with your students. First thing is, quickest way for students to get to Schoology is to go through their GCS bookmarks folder, and this one's pushed out by the district. So when I click on there, Schoology is right there for you. And that way, all they have to do is just go click on it. I've also created my own bookmark. So my own bookmark is right here. It's got the logo. I just have to click on that and it takes me right there. So you've got those two options. It's easier than having students type in gaston.schoology.com every single time. So that's how they're going to get in. There's also a slide deck, which has kind of like an introduction of how Schoology is used. So you can go in and Kyle will drop that in the chat. So that way, if you guys want to make a copy of that and make it your own, you're welcome to do that. And that just kind of just shows them how you're going to do this. As I had said earlier, we still want for you guys to still use those same tools you've been using. Use that Flipgrid, use that Seesaw, use all of the things that you've loved using so far. You can still use them in here. You're just going to have to do it a little bit differently. And Kyle will touch on that in 102. So we'll see you guys for 102 for that part. Another thing is, if you're having issues with parents accessing and trying to figure out where to go, we encourage you to make Loom videos, just as you were for other things, March to June. You can make Loom videos on how to access things, how to get to things. So you could always post those and put those in your parent corner as well.
What question?
Yes.
So the question is, can I send messages to specific families, or do you have to send everything to everyone?
So you can send it to specific students, and I would assume you can send it to families.
So multiple questions are coming in about the parent items. So the first thing is, can I send?
So multiple questions are coming in about families and parents. So there's a lot of ways this will work. So when you send a message, and that was earlier on in the training, when you send a message, you're sending the message to that student, okay? So you can send a message, kind of like a little email, to a student or the whole class, and that was under course options and messages. The parent corner or the family corner is just a folder that has been added. So that's not there until you decide to add it. You don't have to add it. This is just a suggestion from one of the ITFs. So the idea of having this kind of family folder is showing parents or students there's this one folder that you can go to that you could upload content. So I'm just thinking as a teacher, the stuff that I would send home that everybody loses, right? So like my schedule, maybe my contact information, that cute little contact card that I made, or that field trip form that they keep losing that they could just print out if they have the darn thing, or that type of items I could put in the family corner. But you could add in there whatever you like, or you can not have the family corner at all. It's just a folder that, and we'll show you how to add folders in hour 2 as well. And then Kiefer asks, if I add a Schoology assessment that auto grades, will it automatically add the grade of the gradebook, or will we manually put it in the grades? So what I'm told, Kiefer, is it's going to automatically put the grade in the gradebook. That said, if you already have that Google form done, and you don't mind typing the grades in and your form's already done, man, use that form. It's fine. We are personally getting training on the assessment module because it's so big. We haven't had any training in Schoology otherwise. That's going to be our first training in Schoology. So we're going to then roll out more modules in the self-paced course. So if you haven't done the self-paced course, highly recommend that. And we're going to be adding modules to it. So even though it was a getting started course, we're going to use it as a way to get resources to all you guys. So you're already in there. So it'll be an easy way without having to give you more codes to join more courses and have more stuff cluttering all of your screens. That's the last thing you need. So we're going to add more modules. And just to put your mind at ease about the gradebook stuff, the very first module that'll roll out after the ones that are already there is just videos on how to set up a gradebook. So I think I covered everything. If you have any other questions about the family stuff, let me know. I think I got it though.
Kyle, this is Dawn. I have 2 questions as a content teacher.
Yeah.
In Power School, I had view-only access to all teachers' gradebooks through Power School.
Yeah.
So that way, if like after school, a parent called about an assignment, or sometimes if a student was falling behind, like I would help teachers. I would call the parents to see what I could do to support them and help them get grades up, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Will I have that with Schoology, or will I still look at it through Power School?
So there's a couple ways to do it. So all the grades are going to be synced to Power School. So you'll be able to still look in Power School. That's
Okay.
one thing. But the teachers could make you a co-teacher in all their classes.
Okay.
I don't know if you want that or not, because that's going to be a lot of classes. But they can, and then you would be able to go in and see assignments, student responses, and everything.
Okay.
You would have a whole lot of classes though. I might keep it the way that it is in Power School, to be honest with you. The only time that would create a problem for you is if the teacher simply hasn't synced. But to be honest, parents are, what I'm told is parents are going to be directed to go to Power School for grades and not Schoology. And that's how we're trying to avoid any issues with parents. And again, it will only happen if the teacher hasn't hit sync, and it will only happen to grades 3 through 5 teachers.
Right.
But there's a chance that, Kyle puts in a grade today and he's like, man, I'm going to grade that stack of work tomorrow, and I'm just going to sync it after I'm done. Parent looks that night, they're going to be different in 2 spots. That's why I think Amy suggested, can I just hit the button every time? You can. The only reason Schoology said that they might not do that, and they might not hit sync every single time they put in an assignment, is because it does take some time to do that. They said that if you hit sync in the middle of a school day, it's like everything else. It's going to take a while. If you do it at 3:30, you'll be fine. I think that if I'm only syncing one assignment at a time, I'm going to hit sync. I agree, Amy, who suggested that. And I'm going to see the first couple times how long it really takes. I can't imagine it takes very long. They didn't tell us that it took like a half an hour or anything. So, if it takes a minute, I'm cool with it. But Dawn, I think I would roll with it the way that it is for now.
Okay.
Because your course menu would be really tough to navigate.
Right. Since we're really encouraging parents to use the Schoology platform also, is there a way, or would I have to be a co-teacher in every class? Like I send lots of stuff home to families, announcements or study tips, you know, all kinds of things from the content teacher point of view. What's the best way for me to send them an announcement? Would it be to go through the teacher or send it to the teacher and let the teacher post it?
For whole
I'm
school,
sorry.
I think so. No, I understand. I'm thinking, I believe so. I believe it would be because, how have you done it in the past?
Well, a lot of times it's like pencil paper, you know, like I would send a flyer home or something like that. And a lot of times we use our social media and our school website.
Right.
So if I just send it out to the teachers and ask them to post it, I guess that would be the best way.
Yeah, if you want to move to that being only digital, I'm thinking that sending it out as the teacher would be best because I can't think of another way that's going to group every parent from the entire school in one spot.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, great. Thank you.
But they will get, just so you know, parents will get an access code so that they will be able to see their kids' stuff in Schoology, and it will be greater access than parents had in Classroom. So they're going to see more things than they would have in Classroom. You know, in Classroom, they might have just gotten a little email that said your kids did these assignments this week. In Schoology, there's greater access. Ms. Hicks asked, are we able to sync more than one class at a time, or do we have to wait until one has completed before moving on? So you're syncing each course, Ms. Hicks. So when you're in math, you're going to sync math. So if you're behind grading ELA for some reason, then you can sync it when you get to it. You know, you can sync the sync buttons inside of each course. And that means the setup is inside of each course. So don't forget to set up each one for classroom teachers.
Kyle, do you know when parent access codes will be available?
So they're currently in Schoology.
Okay.
We set that up yesterday, and we have a meeting with them for training on that Friday with instruction. And we are trying to figure out the easiest way to send those out, because the way that it prints is not like, say, Class Dojo, where it gives you like a flyer you can send home. It just gives you a spreadsheet of everybody's codes.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out a way to manage that without for teachers.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we should have information about that next week.
Okay, so last resource I'm going to show you, and we're going to drop this link in the chat as well. So there is a Schoology Scavenger Hunt. So you can kind of customize this and make it what you want, put your own Bitmoji on it, and that way your students kind of have a fun way for them to kind of navigate it. Just as we're all learning, they're going to need to be learning as well, and how to utilize it and how to use it. So this is a great way for them to kind of just get the bare bones of how this works, how to do it, and how to access their stuff. So Kyle's going to drop that in the chat. And at this point, we are ready for any questions, and then we're going to drop the sign-in form in the chat as well. So if you have questions, if you want to unmute and ask them or drop them in the chat, either way is fine with us.
It's in the chat.
Okay. Sounds like we covered it then, or you guys are just totally overwhelmed, which is okay. We are here to support you every step of the way. We know that this is new for everybody. We are on this adventure together. So we are here. If you have any questions, feel free to email us anytime. We purposely grouped you guys into our people, so that way we are your ITFs. If you're one of my people, obviously come to me. And if you're one of Kyle's people, just email him. So we are here to help you. If you think of something later, feel free to send us an email and ask us, send us a chat, all those things. I am going to show you this real quick. So this kind of just shows how this whole adventure this summer has been a combination of 3 different departments. So we have been working with instruction and also with accountability. Accountability obviously is doing the PowerSchool pieces. Instruction is doing the content and what you're putting in there. They're going to have a group that's created that's going to have all of your pacing guides and unit guides, and they're going to put them all in that group. You'll learn more about that on Friday with your CTs and AFs. And then obviously TSS through us, we can help with the Google integration, creating content with those evergreen tools, and we can even help you with grade setup as well. So we are here to help you as well as these other people. If you're unsure of who to ask, start with us and we'll send you to the right people. So we're going to go ahead and drop that sign-in link for the chat so we can go ahead and get out of here because we're rocking and rolling again at 10. So I'm going to go ahead and assume most of you will join us at 10. I'll drop that link for the 10 o'clock in the chat as well. So if you want to just bounce over and keep going with us, you're welcome to do that as well.
Questions coming in about making.
Kim, try to, when you're adding members, try to change it to the school you're looking in and see if when you search by last name, the people pop up. That's what I did and it worked okay. If not, that must be a setting that we need to find for you guys. So I want to make sure that that does work for you. It should. I know we are set up to roll just fine. I know that there was questions about the parent folder. I'm going to show you in the hour 2 how to do the folders. And we're going to give you a suggestion of how to set up your instructions, stuff like that. So don't worry. This was just navigating. That's why this part was optional. Just be aware too that if you come to hour 2, the very, very front end of hour 2, please let me know, Kim, because I want to make sure that works. Okay. If you did come to hour 2, the attendance form was pasted in the chat up there, Cheryl. Just a couple above your comment. You see it? Oh, no, that's the Google Meet link, Maddie.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay,
They're already here. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thanks, Cheryl. So there's the link to sign in. The question about making folders, we're going to show you how to sort of set all those things up in the second hour. If you do come to the second hour, since this was optional, the next one was required. We are going to show Gradebook Setup again, a shorter version. So just be aware. I apologize for that, but we wanted to make sure everybody gets that because obviously that's going to be super important. And please, if you aren't normally a grading teacher, if you're K2 and don't ordinarily, input, I know you grade stuff. I'm saying you don't input grades, then don't worry about it. You still need to have a gradebook set up in order to do assignments. So don't worry if that seems kind of foreign. You don't have to use the gradebook itself. So we got a few more moments if there's any questions, and we'll see a lot of you again at 10 o'clock. Allison says, if you sign up for 2:30, can you just go to the 10? Yeah, that's fine. Totally fine. Basically, we're keeping track of who comes by who signs in at the end. So it doesn't matter which session you come to. That's not what the link is in there. Keep in mind, you need to, when you do your sign-ins, folks, please make sure you're doing it with your Guest Sky Schools email. Otherwise, we have a really hard time figuring out who it is. And this is also how you'll get credit for today's session.